Welcome everybody. Happy early Halloween. I want to make sure I put out my movie reviews now because tomorrow I'll be extremely busy. So, and then of course after work. Now, I thought I can do this maybe on Friday of Halloween, but I might just stream certain things, but I left that time open just in case somebody might invite me to whatever. But I figured I'll just do it now, get it out the way. So anyway, the final two movies I'll be reviewing today right now will be the slasher film Halloween, the 1978 classic film, and probably the only Halloween film out of the entire franchise that still is like the best one. Cause the others just like lackluster. Maybe the last one recently was alright, but at least from what I've heard. But full disclosure, not a big slasher horror guy personally, but there's a few that I don't mind watching. Of course, I like all the Scream films personally, but Halloween, that one is, the first one is actually really good. Check out got my little Static Shock costume. Thought I, dress it up here. I probably should have put on this costume when I was doing my Predator versus Wolverine comic review last night, but I got on so late. I didn't feel like putting on the costume. Probably didn't really, even if I thought about it, I probably wouldn't have felt like it. But in any case, this is, remains one of the most iconic films of all time, with one of the main themes of the darker side of living in suburbia, where you think like the big cities where all the crime is going on and blah blah blah, but suburbia has its fair share of darker things to it, like some kind of living next door to some kind of psycho. And of course, certain people just born evil, Michael being one of them. And the theme song, or the melody to this, is still one of the most iconic themes in movie history. When you hear that going, you just know what it's just like ingrained into your brain what film it's referencing. And Michael Myers is like easily one of the most iconic movie villains of all time. So let's say it's based in like Haddonfield, Illinois, but it's no Haddonfield, Illinois exist. They exist. And it's like the film was shot in Southern California. It's like, come on. It's like, if you're gonna, well, they had like because this is directed by John Carpenter, and they only at that time they only had like a budget of somewhere between $300,000 to $325,000, but they raked in at the box office $70 million. So they did a phenomenal job. It stars Donald Pleasence as Dr. Samuel Loomis, Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Nick Castle plays Michael Myers. Nancy Keys as, excuse me, Annie Brackett, PJ Souls as Linda Van der Klock, Charles Cyphers as Sheriff Lee Brackett, Kyle Richards, not the Kyle Richards, as Lindsay Wallace. Wait a minute. Is the leak? Oh, wait a minute. Is the Kyle Richards? Oh my god. I don't even watch Real Housewives, but I'm just shocked. There's like, oh, F me. Retracting what I said earlier. That is the Kyle Richards. Oh my god. Well, and I don't watch Real Housewives. I just know from like, certain TMZ episodes. That's the only reason I even know this woman. Brian Andrews as Tommy Doyle. Nancy Stevens as Marianne Chambers. Sandy Johnson as Judith Myers. So, the way the film opens is very brilliant. What is it? It's like it was set in like 1963, where a young Michael Myers took a chef's knife and ended up killing his older sister, which, sure, he snuck up behind her, but I don't know. It just seems like the kid, he was like, what? Like, how old was he? He was 6 years old. And I can't imagine any 6-year-old, even with a knife, have enough power necessary to maybe you'll break skin, but not really get in there, because like a teenage girl, I don't know. It's just they should break skin, but not enough to give that initial like thrust power. Like I don't know. It just seems like I was like, she'll feel like a prick in the back and wonder like the heck is going on, and then like push this little kid off. He's only 6 years old. Now it'd be different if he's maybe, I don't know, 13, 14. And I figure by that point he's like a fully teenage boy. His bone density will be really reaching its peak. And yeah, then I will, personally, then yeah, I will buy the fact that, oh, bam. But whatever. He gets caught and sent to an insane asylum where Dr. Loomis spent years trying to treat the boy, but then over time grew to understand there's no soul behind this kid. He's one of those rare people that is just born with zero empathy, or even can't even learn empathy, or he's a truly dark individual that deserves to be locked away forever for the rest of his life. And I love the way this actor is portraying this doctor, where it's kind of like, I say, in my opinion, very realistic, because in most cases, I don't want to say not all cases, but most cases in these films or TV shows, they always got these very hippy dippy, sappy type of doctors that believes like, I can reach him. If there is good, you just need more time. No, it's like you got a realistic understanding, like, yo, I spent X amount of years trying to treat him, but then I reached to a point in my diagnosis that this person cannot be put back into everyday society at all. and we need to do everything we can to keep this sucker inside. And just like, I'm pretty sure prior to him meeting Michael, he had these like, like a different understanding until he meets somebody like him, where it's like, oh yeah, there's like just straight up like a just like a dark people sometimes. So him and the nurse drives up to this insane asylum where Michael should be incarcerated, trying to get him prepped for a trial while sedated to make sure, because he still has like due process and all this other stuff. But then they notice that some of the patients are like wandering around in this rainy night, and while Loomis checks on what's going on, Michael breaks into the car. The nurse runs out and drives off. And one of the main criticisms, which the movie also expressed, how is it that this guy who's been incarcerated since he was 6 is able to know how to drive? It's just like, it has, that has never been explained. I don't think it ever will be explained. It's like, even if some idiot left some kind of driving pamphlet somewhere, I don't know, rules of the road or something like that, as you see him in the car that he eventually steals, he is driving like an expert. Like he's been doing this for like bare minimum 5 years. And it's like, okay, that makes zero sense. It's one of the biggest criticisms, at least one of them. It's like, okay, this makes no sense. He shouldn't be able to, like, be an expert behind the wheel at all. Anyway, so Michael ends up, killing somebody for their coveralls and going back to Haddonfield, breaking into the store for a mask, which, by the way, if memory serves, the mask was supposed to be a like Captain Kirk, William Shatner mask, but it looked so wonky and not at all anything like William Shatner. I think John Carpenter decided to keep it anyway because it just kind of works out better as like the Michael Myers mask that we come to know. And of course, this is one of Jamie Lee Curtis's earliest roles. Uh, uh, yeah, I got that right. Because of the low budget, wardrobe and props were often crafted from items on hand or that could be purchased inexpensively. Carpenter hired Tommy Lee Wallace as production designer, art director, location scout, and co-editor. Wallace created the trademark worn mask by Michael Myers throughout the film from a Captain Kirk mask, purchased for $1.98 from a costume shop on Hollywood Boulevard. Carpenter recalled how Wallace widened the eye holes and spray painted the flesh a bluish white. In the script, it said Michael Myers' mask had the pale features of a human face, and it truly was spooky looking. I can only imagine the result if they hadn't painted the mask white. Children would be checking their closet for William Shatner after Tommy got through with it. Hill adds that the idea was to make him almost humorless, faceless, this sort of pale visage that could resemble a human or not. Many of the actors wore their own clothes, and Curtis' wardrobe was purchased at JCPenney for around $100. Wallace described the filming process as uniquely collaborative, with cast members often helping move equipment, cameras, and helping facilitate setups. The vehicle stolen by Michael Myers from Dr. Loomis and Nurse Marion Chambers at the Smith Grove Sanitarium was an Illinois government-owned 1978 Ford LTD station wagon, rented for 2 weeks for filming. When filming was complete, the car was returned to the rental company, who put it up for auction. Its next owner left it in a barn for decades until selling it to its new owner, who has completely restored both its interior and exterior. Just a little backstory with that, because I knew that William Shatner thing was like, because that has always been like the fun fact of the film. Okay, next, Michael, spies on his old abandoned childhood home, where he sees Laurie drop off because her father was a real estate agent trying to sell this house. Seeing her dropping up some keys for him, that's where Michael sees her, and just by dark, unfortunate circumstance that she's the one that he saw and decides to, follow her. And I love how a lot of these scenes were shot, because in the foreground we watching, people running dialogue, walking past, and just on the side or in the background we see, because in some cases, if you're not paying attention because you're so focused on people's acting on the foreground, you fail to notice that in some cases we see Michael driving by like it's like one of the normal cars going by, but you see him driving by in the background. It's like he is a constant looming threat, ever present. Sometimes you never know if he's there or not, but it's just like, it was beautifully shot. Of course, Loomis eventually gets to Haddonfield to warn the sheriff, who's the father of Laurie's best friend, stating that hey, this is like insane person is coming to the town. We need to be on high alert. But of course, mind you, this is in the late 70s. People at that time, believably, wouldn't really be like, treating it with the urgency necessary, because like, oh yeah, sure, like this is just like a quiet little suburban town, with families, trying to live a peaceful life. We don't believe like, oh, crazy person. It's just like very hand wavy of the seriousness. Now, of course, it probably wouldn't be until maybe like the 80s and get into the 90s where people be a lot more understanding that if somebody comes into town, speaks with the local sheriff about like, hey, there's this crazy person that escaped here and might be going in this direction. We need to be on high alert for this individual. Now, I'm thinking about it. It's kind of crazy that Loomis don't have a picture. Now, of course, we know why. We don't see the actual face of Michael Myers. That adds to the horror factor. I think that's smart in any kind of horror genre where we don't always see the villain, because we don't see Michael actually do a kill until like almost an hour, maybe like halfway into the film. At least almost, not fully in an hour, or not fully in a halfway through the film, but darn near close. I kind of noted that. I was like, wait a minute, we're at this mark, and we're just now seeing an on-screen kill, because we see off-screen kills, or at least a off-screen kill with the driver that Michael took the coveralls from, but an actual on-screen kill is like darn near halfway through the movie. We actually get to see one, but I think that is clever, because this is early years of the whole slasher genre. We haven't gotten into the whole tropes yet, so this is still fresh. So because getting to like the late 80s into the 90s, we get this, that's when like the genre really starts like getting to the tropes, whereas like first 10 minutes of the movie, slash, kill, boom, set the tone. But no, movies like this, I appreciate it, took its time before we actually see a kill. We need to like have this looming threat, like Jaws or something. And matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, I know it's technically not a horror film, but technically is, in my opinion. I think a lot of people's opinion will be considered kind of scary. I want to put the first Jaws movie on the list for next year's like list of Halloween films, Halloween themed films, because Jaws was like a scary thing for a lot of people, the first one at least. I should put that on the freaking list. But like I was saying, because Jaws came out in 1975. Holy crap, this is like 5 years prior to this movie. 3 years prior to this movie. But like Jaws, we see Michael just creeping. For the most part, he watches people, from afar, while they like doing it and stuff. Some argue he's a bit of like a voyeurist. But yeah, it's smartly played. Kids nowadays need to learn that certain things need to be taken its time. Let it sit for a minute. So when he strikes, it's it's all the more jarring. Laurie's starting to take notice that she feels like she's being watched. And of course, like, like Michael, okay, on paper, Michael should be like a normal person, but he moves around like almost like a freaking ghost. Not all that too dissimilar to something like Jason Voorhees, where you see him one moment, you turn around, and for a split second and turn back, he's just gone. And they, over time, in every Halloween film, they play that up every time to make it seem like this dude is some kind of ethereal, monster or something like that, when he's supposed to be just like a regular person. in like the more recent films, when the whole town is fully aware about this kind of guy and the history of the town and the horrors this guy brought, over the years, every time he circles back or something like that, it's like, okay, they, they made this kind of iconic line, like "Evil dies tonight" kind of thing, where it's like, the whole town tried to take on this dude and like just straight up kill this dude once and for all. Which, in my opinion, I love, because it's not like horror films of old where nobody believes the main character or characters who's saying like, oh, I'm being chased by the psycho and blah blah blah. Like, no, they all, are fully aware that this guy exists. He is a danger, and it's like this nipping in the bud. But what I don't like is the fact that the film played it like the whole entire town is incompetent. Like, a group of these people cannot take on this one guy who is not like Jason Voorhees. He's not Freddy Krueger. He is not that dude too dissimilar to something like, he may be a step above a Ghostface, but he's not that too dissimilar. He's still normal. He is killable, or at least should be, but the movie's playing like he's got this horror film plot armor where all these people are so incompetent, and they, he just kicks a car door, bumps into a person with a gun, they end up shooting themselves in the face. That is so dumb. That is so completely ignorant, and it's like, okay, there's a way to play this where they get, a bunch of people get taken out, but they're not stupid either. Okay, I don't expect the whole town of people to be like SEAL Team 6, but they should still, a fair amount of them should be fairly skilled with, using a pistol or a shotgun, and organizing. It just, the entire thing is just, that entire moment was just dumb for that aspect. Anyway, so the sheriff and Loomis check the childhood home after realizing Loomis found like the tombstone of Michael's sister was completely stolen from the cemetery, and they start, investigating the house, and the dude, he's, the doctor stays nearby just to keep from kids like trying to break in, because he doesn't know when or if Michael will pop up. He expects him to, and he's trying to avoid, any further deaths. But it's just like, dude, like I wouldn't be comfortable standing there by myself at night on Halloween, where a serial killer could easily show up at any time at this particular spot without some sort of backup. But in any case, Lori and her friend Annie, who have babysitting jobs, don't know where Lori's parents are. But Michael ends up killing Annie after she drops off the kid that she's babysitting over at Lori's to go pick up her boyfriend, and she gets killed in her car by Michael. Then then another couple, these two like people was like hooking up. Michael breaks in the house, kills the guy, and then the girl, while in the moment of the girl trying to contact Lori to talk with her, and strangles her with the phone extension cord. Remember, house phones? Uh, so Lord goes to check uh, on the situation because he thought it was kind of weird, but then ends up coming across the dead bodies of the couple. Ends up getting attacked by Michael, slashed in the arm, but she runs out, and that adds to the scare factor of living in suburbia. Well, almost darn near anywhere, because it's like very rare. I don't say rare, but in some cases, when somebody comes to your house screaming for bloody murder for help, and it's just like nobody opens up and is like, I ain't trying to have that drama in my house. No, that kind of attitude, that in a way adds to the scariness, that the fact that the inaction of others when you trying to seek help from. She ends up running back into the house. Of course, Michael breaks in. She stabs him in the neck with some knitting needles. Of course, he ends up disappearing. She ends up runs upstairs to check on the kids, tell them to hide in the bathroom as Michael is like approaching, and she sets him up so she can stab him in the face and in the chest. But of course, he's not dead. He ends up strangling her, but lucky Loomis, who saw the kids running out the house to go to nearby neighbors to call the police, he ends up coming inside and using his pistol shoots Michael. He falls out the window off the balcony. Of course, he ends up disappearing, saving Lori's life. And the movie ends with Michael breathing as like the film cuts. Like I said, despite certain issues, because as great as this movie is, it has its issues, but it's still one of the most iconic movies of all time and still play very well. Like I said, the theme of this sets the tone, and playing with the fact that this guy, we're not going to see an on-screen kill yet. I want to play this out. I want to ramp up the tension. And John Carpenter is, like with Wes Craven, is, and also Benicio, not Benicio, Del Toro, the one, not Benicio Del Toro, but the guy who did the Blade 2 and Guillermo Del Toro. Those three are masters with horror, and they do it so well. But yeah, man, this still is an amazing film. I don't do too many slashers in terms of reviews, because I'm not like I review horror stuff, but when it comes to slashers, I'm not as psyched for those as most other people are. Weird. It's kind of weird that so many women love slashers like that and horror films in general. I don't know. I'm very picky when it comes to certain horror, because I don't like getting scared. But I have my picks. But in any case, I have one more film to review before we close out the October month and get into November, where I'll be reviewing a lot of food related. Since Thanksgiving, it's gonna be food related kind of films or family related films, because this is Thanksgiving, you spend time with family, or Native Americans kind of film. I think I have quite a few on the list. One in particular I definitely want to review, because it's like a classic, something I grew up with. But I'm going to leave that as a surprise. But in any case, I'll see you guys in a little bit, as I got, going to go through reviewing Young Frankenstein, First time me watching this film, so I always heard great things, but it's one thing one of the Mel Brooks films I have not seen. So, anyway, leave a comment below. Let me know what you guys think of the first Halloween film, 1978. Leave any pros and cons you might have about it, and share this with your friends. And it helps with the algorithm and so forth. And I will see you all soon. Take care.